Good morning, students. In this video, I will explain about the temperature measuring instruments. The most common instrument used for temperature measurement is the thermocouple. So, how you define a thermocouple? So, if the two dissimilar metals are joined, an EMF exists, which is a function of several factors including temperature. When junctions of this type are used to measure the temperature, they are called thermocouples. The typical this is schematic diagram of the thermocouple given. So two dissimilar metals, metal A and metal B. So these are the two junctions J1, J2. At this junction J1, it produces EMF of E1, and at J2 it produces EMF of E2. So here the temperature at the junction J1 is T1 and temperature at J2 is T2. The principle of thermocouple is that if two dissimilar metals A and B are joined to form a circuit as shown in the figure, it is found that when two junctions J1 and J2 are at two different temperatures T1 and T2, the small EMFs E1 and E2 are generated at the junctions. The resultant of these two EMFs causes a current to flow in the circuit. If the temperatures T1 and T2 are equal, the two EMFs will be equal but opposed and no current will flow. The net EMF is a function of the two materials used to form the circuit and the temperature of the two junctions. It should be noted that two junctions are always required. One which senses the desired or unknown temperature is called the hot or measuring junction. Other maintained at a known temperature is called the cold or reference junction. Then laws of thermocouples. There are two laws of thermocouple. One is law of intermediate metal, another one is law of intermediate temperature. First, the law of intermediate metals. It states that insertion of an intermediate metal into a thermocouple circuit will not affect the net EMF provided the two junctions introduced by the third metal are at an identical temperature. So application of this law is as shown in the figure A. So if the third metal is, this one is the third metal C, is introduced and new junction, it will create new junction R and S are held at the temperature T3. The both junctions are at the same temperature T3. The net EMF of the circuit will remain unchanged. Then the net EMF will be unchanged. So in figure B also, here third metal is introduced at either measuring or reference junction. It can be introduced at this junction or this junction. So here it is introduced here. Metal C is introduced at junction 1, J1. So as long as the junctions P1 and P2 are maintained at the same temperature T1, so these P1 and P2 are the junctions which are maintained at the temperature T1, the net EMF of the circuit will not be altered. This permits the use of joining metals such as solder used in the fabrication of thermocouples. Now, second law, the law of intermediate temperature. So here the thermocouple are at temperature T1 and T2, it will produce as a EMF E1. Then T2, T3 produce EMF E2, and T3 and T1 and T3 it will produce EMF E3. So what it states? It states that if a simple thermocouple circuit develops an EMF E1 when its junctions are at temperatures T1 and T2, and EMF E2 when its junctions are at temperature T2 and T3, then the same circuit will develop an EMF E3 equal to E1 plus E2 when its junctions are temperature T1 and T3. So this is illustrated schematically in the figure. The swap permits the thermocouple calibration for a given temperature to be used with any other reference temperature to the use of suitable correction. Also, the extension wire having the same thermoelectric characteristics as those of the thermocouple wires can be introduced in the circuit without affecting the net EMF of the thermocouple. So these are the two laws of thermocouple. Then what are the materials used for fabricating the thermocouple? So thermocouple materials and construction. As any two dissimilar metals can be used to form a thermocouple, but certain metals and combination are better than others. The desirable properties of thermocouple materials are: one, linear temperature EMF relationship, temperature and EMF relationship, high output EMF, resistance to chemical change when in contact with working fluids, stability of EMF, mechanical strength in their temperature range, and cheapness. So these are the desirable properties of material which are used for thermocouple. So these properties are considered when selecting the thermocouple materials. Then what are the different thermocouple materials? Thermocouple materials can be divided into two types. So one is called rare metal types, and the second one is called base metal type. In the rare metal types, the platinum 90% and rhodium 10% used, rhodium, iridium also used, tungsten 95% and rhenium 5% used, tungsten 72% and rhenium 26% also used, platinum, rhodium 30% also used, platinum, rhodium 6% also used. These are the rare metal types. Then base metal types, copper constantan 60% of copper, 40% of nickel, iron constantan, chromal metal is used 90% of chromium and 10% of nickel, aluminum material also used 94% of nickel, 2% of aluminum and silicon and magnesium, and chromal constantan. So these are the different thermocouple materials used. Another type of temperature measurement is resistance thermometers. So these are used for measuring the temperature. So desirable properties of resistance thermometer material are: one, material should permit fabrication in convenient size. Second, its thermal coefficient of resistivity should be high and constant. Third, there must be corrosive resistance and should not undergo phase changes within the temperature ranges. Fourth, provide reproducible and consistent results. These are the desirable properties of resistance thermometers. Although actual temperature resistance temperature relation must be determined experimentally, for most metals the following empirical equation may be used. So RT is equal to RO into bracket 1 plus AT plus BT square. So this is empirical equation. It can be used for calculating the resistance of the material. So where RT is the resistance at temperature T and RO is the resistance at reference temperature, and T is the temperature, and A and B are the constant depending on the materials. So usually platinum, nickel, copper are the most commonly used materials, although others like tungsten, silver and iron can also be used. So here the two types of resistance thermometers are shown. So figure A shows the construction of two forms of resistance thermometers. Figure A, the element consists of a number of turns of resistance wire wrapped around the solid silver core. So this is the solid silver core. This is the resistance winding wrapped around the ceramic insulator leads to the leads. This is the end flame. Solid silver core. So heat is transmitted quickly from the end flame. So heat is transmitted from end flame through the core to the windings. From end flame to the core to the windings. So heat transfer. So another form is shown in the figure B. It consists of a resistance wire is wrapped around a mica strip. So here mica strips are used. So central mica strip is wrapped with a resistance wire and sandwiched between the additional mica strips. So these are the two additional mica strips. The center one is wrapped with a resistance winding. This resistance thermometer may be used directly, but when permanent installation with corrosion and mechanical protection is required, a well or socket may be used. So these are the two different types of resistance thermometers. The next one is the pyrometers. So high temperature non-contact type of measurement by means of radiations coming out of the hot body is called pyrometry, and the instrument used for this are called pyrometer. So here these are the non-contact type. So previously we have studied different temperature measuring instrument which are in contact with the material where we have to take the measurement. But sometimes it is not possible to take a temperature with contacting because of the high temperature, very high temperature. So the sensing material cannot withstand that temperature. In that case, these pyrometers are used for measurement of temperature. All temperature measuring devices discussed earlier require to be brought into physical contact with a body whose temperature is to be measured. It means that the device not only should be able to measure the body temperature but also must be capable of withstanding this temperature when in contact with the hot body, which in case of very hot bodies having corrosive vapors or liquids create real problems. The solution for this is the use of pyrometer, which are used primarily for measuring a high and very high temperature ranging from 600 degrees centigrade to 2000 degrees centigrade, above the ranges normally covered by the thermocouples. Moreover, a pyrometer can also measure the temperature of a moving object, such as the temperature of molten metal, moving ingots, and hot metal, etc. The construction of the pyrometer is shown in this figure. The pyrometer is positioned towards an unknown temperature, such as the objective lens focuses. So this is the objective lens which focuses the source in plane of the lamp filament. So this is the lamp which is connected to circuit. So the eyepiece is then, this is the eyepiece, adjusted such that the filament and the source appear superimposed. The filament may appear either hotter or colder than the unknown source as shown in the figure. The current through the filament is adjusted by means of rheostat. So this is the rheostat which can adjust the current of this lamp. When the current passing through the filament is too low, the filament will emit radiation of lesser intensity than that of source. It will thus appear dark against the bright background as shown in the figure A. So here it is the bright background, the filament appears dark. It means that the temperature is too low. But when the current is too high, it will appear brighter than the background as shown in the figure. When the current is too high, the background is dark and the filament appears is bright. But when correct current is passed through the filament disappears into the background as in the figure C. When the correct current is passing through this filament, then we will see this filament disappears. So filament disappear means the current we have adjusted is equal to the current of the source, because it is radiating at the same intensity as the source. In this way, the current indicated by the ammeter which disappears the filament may be used as the measure of the temperature The purpose of red filter is to obtain approximately monochromatic conditions. So the red filter. So this is to get the monochromatic conditions. The purpose of the red filter is to obtain the approximately monochromatic conditions, while the absorption filter is used so that the filament may be operated at a reduced intensity, thereby increase its life. So intensity can be reduced by passing through the absorption filters. So this is about the pyrometer. Thank you.